Hello, my friend. You asked me to talk to you about pre-verbal trauma. And I said to you, I'd be happy to do that, but I probably won't want to call it trauma. I'll probably want to call it habits or consequences of deprivation or habitual responses or being folded in on yourself or not having found your existential freedom or not having felt able to expand into your world or not being able to feel secure or even not feeling that you are welcome in the world or that there is a place in the social world for you or that you're able to hold your own. Because that is really what we're talking about when we're talking about the pre-verbal experiences. I mean, we encounter lots of difficult circumstances throughout our lives. And at any point, we might get really deeply hurt. Viscerally hurt, deep inside of us, because we are being denied or we are being treated harshly, or something terrible happens in our lives to shock us out of a state of safety into a state of alarm, and we never quite get back to a state of safety ever. All of these things happen to different people, and sometimes there are people who have many of these events happening to them repeatedly. If you are a child of war, this is quite likely, but even then it's not necessarily the case, because if your mother was very close to you and protected you and had you very near herself and loved you with great deep love and protection, then even being a child of war might lead to you feeling surprisingly secure and maybe even quite capable of dealing with big challenges, because in a way you learned that you could do that and that you weren't alone and that there was still safety even under threat. The problem arises when you cannot find that safety, when something happens in your very early life that habituates you to having to be in a state of stress. So babies that are left to cry in despair and who silence themselves after a while and who give up on life and become depressed. It's very difficult for them when they grow older to find back that inner confidence, that environmental trust, that trust in other people, that trust in the world. It's very difficult. These are typically kids that have grown up in orphanages or places where they just weren't given sufficient care and where nobody seemed to be bothered about their well-being. And if they were, then probably it was in the negative. They were being shouted at or hushed up in more cruel ways than that. If you have those experiences from very early on, it gets grieved into your soul it becomes part of you to mistrust the world and to no longer expect that anything good will come from it. And this can only be overcome very gradually. It's overcome by people who find support in their lives at a later stage, somebody who takes a shine to them, a teacher maybe who shows them the way, books that open their eyes. And the thing is, my friend, that once you have had some support and you have found a safe place or a relatively safe place in the world to live and re-establish that inner security very gradually, once you have found that, it is a very good thing to build on that and to make it possible for yourself to expand your zone of safety gradually, increasingly trusting yourself, trusting few other people, and trusting that there are good things in this world. There are certainly lots of good books in the world. There are certainly wonderful natural spaces in the world where you can renew yourself and where you can rebuild confidence. There are films, there are places that have been created by warm-hearted people where you can find that kind of security that gives you back trust and faith in yourself. So it is important to focus on those possibilities and to make the most of your capacity to create such environments for yourself, and then to see to it that you live a life that gives you all the comfort and safety you need, as well as enough of a sense of progression with that. So that does mean you need small challenges to have a feeling that you're setting out on that road towards greater confidence and deeper understanding, and where you can let go of your suspiciousness about everyone and everything. And that is why I don't like to talk about these things as trauma. I like to reserve the word trauma for situations that happen out of the blue all of a sudden, like an existential crisis, to completely perturb a person's balance in life, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and that therefore shock a person into a state where they can hardly breathe or be anymore. I think it's really important to be accurate about one's language and to not plunge ourselves into abysses that are not the ones we've fallen into. It is also very important to realize how serious some of these experiences of deprivation are, and how terribly we do become folded in on ourselves when throughout our childhood we were bullied or put upon or diminished by others or negated by others or teased by others or made to feel that we were a nuisance or a hindrance or an obstacle to other people. Those are also very difficult givens in a person's existence, and it can take a long time to find the right people around you who will affirm you and who will help you wake up to the beauty that you carry with you, my friend, and the magic that you can do for yourself once you trust yourself a little bit more. So this is what is really important. that you know that despite those early experiences, if you have been saved, if your life has been saved, and you have been able to learn and go to school and read and write and be part of society, then the chances are that you have every capacity inside of you to find a better path, to make a better place for yourself in the world, and to reestablish an inner world that is no longer responsive to your deprivations or your bullying or the bad messages you were given, but that is built anew from the foundations up, where you retrieve the good stuff in the world and you take it on board and you make it your own and you reinforce it day by day, and you're careful in how you socialize and you're careful in what you contribute to the world, because once you start to realize that you can contribute something of value to the world, my friend, then you'll have an uplift, you'll have a realization of carrying goodness and truth and beauty within you and all around you, and that you're able and willing to share that with the world, and that this overrides any of those early settings that have given you so much trouble along the way. So I am all in favor, not just to talk about post-traumatic growth and how much we learn from difficult circumstances, because I believe in that too, but far more I am committed to enabling people to dissolve the beliefs they carry with themselves about themselves that are the destruction that carries on. It's not the original problem that gets you down. It is the indoctrination that you keep repeating for yourself that gets you down. And that indoctrination gets worse when you start thinking of yourself as damaged and beyond it, or deeply, deeply wounded. Yes, my friend, you were wounded and you were hurt, and it wasn't right, and it's horrible and awful. But you know, that isn't the end of the story. That was just the beginning of your story. And your task and your ability and your calling is to prove to yourself and to the world that you, my friend, can rise above all of that, and that you can do the search that you need to do to find all those good parameters and all those good influences that will support you in rebuilding that life that is yours, my friend. So don't settle for less. Don't think of yourself as damaged. Don't think of yourself as disabled forever. Just think about how you can enable your vitality again. And then work at it, my friend. Commit to it and work at it every day, and you will see how much your life will change for the better. And I wish you great strength and great joy in that process, because it is a very joyful process. Yes, you have to face the limits that were imposed on you. But nobody can impose those limits on you now, my friend. So don't do yourself down. Don't label yourself and constrict yourself. Open it up and find your existential freedom. And do what you need to do to actually enjoy your time on this earth.